Thank you, Madam Postmaster. On January 4th, my father celebrated with me his 89th birthday. He had one candle and his dessert at Bistro Zinc, with one of his favorite desserts, the chocolate cake. The next day was a trip that he was dreading. Earlier, because we were not sure about how well my father would be, I canceled the cruise we had planned to the Caribbean for late February, early March. But the trip to Washington, D.C., and to see my brother and his other son, could not be canceled. And it was a trip he was dreading. He had had a caregiver till October, and he was doing pretty well with his recovery, but he would periodically have mishaps, especially on the treadmill. Or so I was walking the hall, he'd be walking like a limo dancer. If you're going to do this long enough, you will go to the ground, no matter who you are. And he was walking like a limbo dancer several times, and he probably got a little scared of doing too much exercise. But the next day would arrive, January 5th. We don't sleep late, so we were off to the airport. I had been told by a friend of mine to make sure a wheelchair at O'Hare Airport had been arranged in advance. I was not accustomed to doing that, so I didn't have a wheelchair arranged in advance. The January 5th, not many people were at O'Hare Airport. There were tons of people carrying wheelchairs around, looking for somebody to put in one. So I didn't want any early drama. I had him go in a wheelchair. Everything was relatively uneventful, and at the National Airport, he did fine in the airport without a wheelchair. He was in a rush to get into any cab. I had to make him walk a few extra steps. That would be a challenge the entire trip, because we could not be in a Virginia cab. We had to be in a Washington, D.C. cab. We were both going to a house I had never seen before, a house my brother and his wife just bought. When we saw the house, my reaction to my brother was, "Chucky, are you trying to kill our father?" There was this huge step in the yard and no rails of any kind. That would be a symbol of what would happen on this trip. In the high rise we live in Chicago, there's stairs and rails, and they're easy. It's a relatively new building. This house was built in the 20s. It had a stairwell with one rail on one side some of the time and the other rail on the other side, but never with two rails. And I'm not sure if the steps are exactly uniform either. It would be the only time in a non-camping trip experience that I, when sleeping, would have to go to another floor to go to a bathroom. An inconvenience for me, for my father, that would be another story. He would be on the second floor. If he was on the main floor where all the public rooms were, he'd have to go to the second floor to go to the bathroom up those stairs. In the first trip up those stairs, my father had to be helped up by my brother. My brother was not happy about the condition of my father. Or my father. Now, perhaps my brother had an exaggerated feeling of what my father's capabilities were, and perhaps I had maybe too low expectations of him, but overall it wasn't enough. He was able to go around the block once with a lot of stops. I pointed out to my brother, Chicago doesn't have hills, like you have in Washington, D.C. My brother still felt my father should be better. And as a result of the trip, my father had another caregiver brought in for one more week. It ended yesterday to give him a refresher course on his exercise program. The caregiver stopped at 5 o'clock last night. When I got back from the theater, my father was again sort of got stuck as he was walking like a little dancer. I got him into bed without incident. Today was his first day on his own. I did not receive a phone call. So at least that's good news. And I'm hoping now that my father's got an exercise program without the treadmill, that he will be able to again attain his capabilities he had before surgery. The story obviously will continue when I take the bus to 2020 Lincoln Park West tonight.